Madam Chair. To the Minister, really interested in your previous comments about how the management plans around effects on wildlife are actually designed to mitigate the effects and reduce the risk of harm, and that it appears that my learned colleagues in the opposition tonight haven't adequately reflected on all of the protections that are in place. So when we consider that authority may be granted to kill wildlife incidentally, while that sounds extreme, dramatic, really, really awful, in fact, the existing management plans that are already issued for projects like Mount Messenger clarify that is certainly not the intention of the ecology, the scientific, the wildlife protection professionals who work on New Zealand's major infrastructure projects, who left school, went and studied a science degree, love nature, probably spend most of their weekends in the outdoors looking for little creatures on their walks, and go to work 5, 6 or 7 days a week to protect wildlife on the projects they work on. So, Minister, I'm really interested. Do you see that the amendments about authorisations are really intended to kill more creatures, or are they in fact intended to give effect to and support the fantastic planning that already occurs? Because when I read the species-specific measures to avoid or minimise effects on bats, for example, on the Mount Messenger project, it says quite clearly that when removing vegetation that could potentially support bat roosts, further detail is required before this happens. The primary mechanism to avoid any harm to bats is firstly listening to them to see if they're in the tree, visual inspections, and ensure any trees that represent potential bat roosting habitat are only felled if it's confirmed they're not occupied by bats. Now that's here in black and white in their consents that were applied for in 2017. So if having gone through all of these measures and having turned up to work wanting to save every single creature on the project, because that's what you truly believe in while you work for a business that is building infrastructure, how is it that this bill is going to do harm, Minister? Because the way I understand it, and I appreciate if you confirm it, it's simply confirming that best practice when it comes to managing the risks to New Zealand's precious Indigenous biodiversity are simply to be accepted and recognised as lawful, rather than it being some catastrophe that is highly unlikely and certainly not intended to befall our threatened species, Minister.